Hello, and welcome to another of today's episodes of Saddest Night Out. My name is Roy, and I am the host of this daily podcast, and it's primarily about music and creative culture in London. Just off the top, my next live show is on Tuesday, the 20th of August at Road Trip and the Workshop on Old Street. It's free entry, doors open at 7:30. It will be music from Izzy, Kin Soul, Rose White and Jack, and myself. That's Tuesday, 20th of August at Road Trip and the Workshop on Old Street. Go to facebook.com/saddest night out for more details. Yes, folks, the title is correct. This episode that you are about to listen to is number 200. Congratulations to our guest on this episode, Mary C. Parker. Just before I pressed record, I said to her that I think this will be episode 199. And she said, oh, so not 200? And I thought, why did I say that? I've now tarnished the whole thing. But my maths were incorrect, and you actually are episode 200. I'm speaking to comedian Mary C. Parker. She is in London, originally from Georgia, which might be, I was going to say that's the furthest distance anyone's travelled, but I've had some people from Australia, but it's still an impressive distance, and she was fantastic. She performed some stand-up comedy at our open mic at the Lyttelton. This was recorded after the open mic had finished, and I asked her just before we finished the night if she wouldn't mind sticking around a little bit afterwards so I could talk to her for my podcast, because it's not often that I get American comedians at my open mic nights. So I was very curious to find out how she happened to find herself in all the bars, in all the towns, in all the world at my open mic. So this is Mary C. Parker telling us where she comes from and perhaps more importantly, where she's going. Enjoy this chat, and I'll catch up with you more afterwards. We are live from the backstage area, I like to think of it as, in the Lyttelton Arms. The night is finished. I'm here with one of the performers who made their debut with us tonight, and they've travelled quite a way to do so. Would you kindly introduce yourself to the listeners?
Sure. My name is Mary C. Parker.
And what is it that you did for us tonight on stage?
I did some stand-up tonight.
How long have you been doing stand-up in London?
Well, yesterday was my open mic debut.
Right.
And tomorrow I have a show that I am booked on. I have been doing stand-up longer than yesterday.
I was going to say, that's quite a trajectory. Open mic one day, first show the next. Wow, that's impressive.
No.
So how long have you been doing open comedy in general?
So comedy in general, so I've been doing improv comedy for 5 years now, and started doing stand-up last spring in April as a stretch for myself and also to get paid. So that's what you get paid in the States, is doing stand-up, not necessarily doing improv. So I wanted to offer myself a creative outlet and try something new. So I took a stand-up class and decided to keep going with it.
So where did you first start doing comedy?
So I actually first started doing comedy in a town called Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
I've heard of it.
Oh,
I don't know where it is on the map, but I have heard of it.
Yeah, so if you've heard of Philadelphia, it's on the complete opposite side of the state.
Okay.
It's near Ohio. There's like a 5-hour difference.
Wow.
Driving. Yeah, you could probably get to Kentucky in about the same time as you would get to Philly, depending on how fast you drive.
That's some distance right there.
Yeah, it's a big state, Pennsylvania.
So that's where you started doing comedy?
That is.
Why did you come to London? What was it about this place that made you think that's the place, that's where the money is?
That's where I need to go. So for me, I'm here doing a master's program. I'm in my last term doing an MA in applied theater. And before I moved here, I had my own business and wanted to figure out how theater can be used to create social change and give people creative ways to solve social problems. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this master's, and to figure out how to do that creatively and financially.
Wow, that's a pretty ambitious goal.
Thank you.
So you told us that you went from improv to stand-up, largely for financial reasons, but also to stretch your comedic skills.
Yeah, and I'm still doing improv. I haven't given up on the initial baby.
Are you doing any improv here?
I am, yeah. So I have been doing improv with an all black team called Do the Right Scene. It formerly is known as New Zealand. You're smiling. I
like
appreciate
it. I like it. I approve of that name. That's
Thank
a nice
you.
name right there.
Thank you, Roy approved. Appreciate that. And we have some shows that are coming up that I can talk more about, and it's been a wonderful opportunity to perform with other black people. I am black for the listeners at home, despite my name and, my voice. I am of color. So,
as am I, in case anyone did. It's almost 200 episodes, in case anyone didn't already know. I am also of color.
It's important. Sometimes you have to clarify, because people create images in their mind, and it's like, no, that's not me.
Yeah.
This is.
So you hail originally from the southern states of the U.S.?
That's correct, yeah. From Georgia, Stone Mountain, Georgia specifically, which has a beautiful colored past of hatred.
Yeah, southern states, yeah. I don't know in depth, but I do have a light idea that the southern states and people of color don't have the brightest of histories.
No, and it would be a much longer episode if I went into all of the wonderful history that exists. Mostly deals with like burning torches and the Klan and racism and Confederacy.
We've taken a turn on this episode. We started with comedy and changing the world through theatre. We've gone a little bit dark now. Life in Georgia, life in Pittsburgh, life in London. Pros, cons, differences. Are there any you prefer?
I think racism exists everywhere, and it's important to acknowledge that. I mean, that motivates the work that I do until we all can feel and believe that we actually belong in a place. I think the work that I want to do is going to have validity and have importance, and uncomfortable things need to be talked about because that's the way that we start to change.
So, what it is that you're studying now for your master's, it sounds like there's quite a philanthropic goal behind it. Has that always been the case for you when you started comedy, or was it throughout your career that you thought there's another turn you could take this towards, where you could go towards social change? So were you always thinking about social change from when you started comedy, or did it come later on in the career?
For me, it came later on. I had always separated improv comedy from the work that I did around social justice. I was always involved with trying to create opportunities for people to engage in tough conversations, and I wanted to figure out how to marry the two, like marry comedy and uncomfortableness, and figure out a creative, fun way to get people to talk about things that are a little bit tough to talk about.
Wow. So, what do you have coming up in the near future, and where can people find you online? You're in London. You've got your sights set on making your mark. So where are you going to set about making it? You've already conquered the open mic scene. If you've done well here, forget all the others. This is the only place that really matters. So you've done great here. You can tick that off the list.
I appreciate that.
What's next for you, Mary?
So what's next for me is I actually have a show on probably this evening. I'm quickly looking for the date.
Look at the calendar. It's the calendar song. Load up the calendar.
Ooh.
Calendar's loading, it's almost done. Check in the calendar. And we have.
So on the 8th of August, there is a show called Fuck It Up Comedy.
Already a fan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, FOC, which stands for Femmes of Color. So it's folks that identify as women and non-binary doing stand-up. And that will be at a place called The Book Club at 7 p.m. And that is the 8th of August. And that's stand-up. And then in terms of improv, with Do the Right Scene, we have shows monthly at Hoopla Impro. And our next show is going to be on the 26th of September. And you can follow Do the Right Scene on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook to get all of the latest news. And you can find me on Instagram at Mary C as in cat .Parker, P as in Paul, apple, rhinoceros, kangaroo, elephant, rhinoceros.
Sounded a bit rehearsed. You got it down to a T.
Yeah, because most people think it's Barker, and I'm like Parker.
Mary C. Parker.
On Instagram, yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, Mary.
Thank you so much for
And
having
yeah,
me.
hope to see you again at one of our open mic nights tonight, because you were fantastic.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the support and encouragement.
My pleasure. We're going to support each other, you know. We're out here.
Because we're black.
We are of colour. Yes, that's exactly. See, we brought that full circle.
Full circle.
Welcome to the Saddest Night Out podcast. That's how we do things here. Thank you very much, Mary.
Thank you again.
And that was that. Thank you very much, Mary, for talking to me. By the way, that singing that you heard halfway through, the calendar song, that is now patented. Expect that on my Christmas album. But it was also us trying to fill out the time while she was loading up the calendar on her phone. Similar to Peter Buckley, who I spoke to before the night started, this is someone who's hit the ground running and is keeping themselves booked and busy, getting out there, spreading their word as much as possible. And yeah, it took an interesting but necessary turn, this conversation. I've gotten into the habit now, after doing 200 of these episodes, of trying to give whoever I'm about to talk to a little bit of a fast forward introduction to what it is I'm doing and where our conversation might go. And I tend to emphasize that I'm speaking to you mainly about your artistic pursuits. I'm not looking to pry into anything uncomfortable. We'll just stick to the music. There's no explicit list of questions, but we'll see where the conversation takes us. But you can relax. I'm not going to take an unexpected turn and put you on the spot. And we spoke about her comedy and her artistic pursuits, but her social ideas and her artistic ideas are very much one and the same. And it was really interesting to talk to her about it, or rather to listen to her tell me her side of the story of what she's been through and what she's hoping to achieve. We spoke a lot more after I finished recording this, because the next person that I spoke to, the next episode from today, was actually waiting to talk to me after I finished speaking to Mary. It was after the open mic, so I was aware that it was quite late, and we were starting to veer towards that time of night where you start wondering whether I can get a train or a bus, although I don't think she lived too far away, but I didn't want to keep her too long. But I am incredibly keen to have another conversation with her, because there is a lot more to what we talked about. The comedy, fantastic. What she's here studying, fantastic. Her thoughts on how things are back home for her, and why she's in London, how long she's considering staying in London, what she's hoping to achieve, the big questions that she's asking herself right now, and the big questions that she wants to ask of society, and that she wants to try to present in the best way possible. That is another conversation that I am very eager to have on this podcast. So Mary, if you're listening, I really want to try and pencil myself into that very filled calendar of yours for another conversation with you, to get more into what we spoke about after I finished recording. But thank you very much for talking to me. Thank you for joining me on this, the prestigious 200th episode of Saddest Night Out. Ooh! There was a part of me that didn't know if we'd ever get this far, but I'm glad we did. Once again, my next live show is on Tuesday, the 20th of August at Road Trip and the Workshop. Free entry, 7:30, doors open. I'm playing with Izzy, Kinsoul, and Rose White and Jack. Go to facebook.com/saddest night out for more details, and to tell the world that you would like to come, because right now, at time of recording, I don't think anyone has said that they are coming, so it's a very lonely event page on Facebook right now. If you could click that button that says yes, I'll be there, well, I'll be your bestest friend ever. Otherwise, from me, that's all for this episode. Thank you again to Mary for talking to me. Thank you all for listening, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.